move on to the greatest quarterback in the league probably right now, I want to talk about him for a little bit. Mike White of the Jets, the best quarterback in the entire league. He has replaced Zach Wilson as a starter, seemingly going forward, at least for this past game. But he's a monster. Zach Wilson, horrible. Played horribly a couple weeks ago and did not take accountability. Said, "Oh, I didn't feel bad for only scoring 3 points, even though I got 7 yards total for the entire game, and I completed -4 passes, and I got 100 interceptions and fumbles." I hate Zach Wilson. The other day, I talked about Zach Wilson. I was like, you know what? I think he's a guy. That's what I said before he got drafted. I take it back. I was wrong. I will admit I was wrong. His skill-wise, I don't think is his problem because every quarterback takes time to develop, I think. I think people are too angry with quarterbacks when they're not a top 5, top 10 quarterback their first season. You got to think about the all-time greats, like Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, those two Packers ones right there. They both sat behind a veteran for a few seasons before they came out and started playing, and they were some of the best of all time. Whenever they started as a rookie, any of the games they played, they were horrible. So I think give people time to develop. But Zach Wilson is going to be unsuccessful, and I think he's going to lose his job because he will not take accountability for it. I'm not a big Trevor Lawrence fan. I'm not a big Jags fan. But one thing I love about Trevor Lawrence is every time they lose a game, he takes the blame. Same thing with Josh Allen. They take the blame, even if it's not completely their fault. They're like, yeah, I shouldn't have thrown that interception. I should have had that fumble. I should have completed more passes. I should have looked at the field more. I should have had better pocket presence. Whatever it is, they take accountability, and immediately, boom, I know what I need to fix, and then they get to work with the next week they have till the next game. Zach Wilson said, it's not my fault. And he looked like he was about to cry when he said it. It was like whenever there's a kid in class, let's say you're in like 2nd grade, 4th grade, something like that. There's a kid who's very wealthy in class, and he finally starts getting bullied by all the other kids because he's pretentious and a snob. And he just sits there and looks like he's about to cry, and he's super angry. And he just tries to say, "No, I'm not," whenever you insult him and call him stupid and all this stuff. That's what Zach Wilson reminds me of because that's exactly what he looked like and sounded like whenever he would not take accountability for his poor performance. So I don't like Zach Wilson anymore. I hate you, Zach Wilson. And I love people like Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, these other quarterbacks that take accountability because that makes the fans like you, it makes your organization like you, and it makes your team unify around you. As a quarterback, you need to be a leader in your locker room. And this is going to be a little bit off topic, but this is why I think that the MVP as a quarterback award at this point is because the quarterback controls most of the success or failure for a team. Because in terms of just one single position, I think the defense matters more than the offense just because I think that, even a poor offense can, get some field goals, every once in a while, get some touchdowns every once in a while. But a defense that can lock someone down to 10 points a game or less is unbelievable. More so than an offense that's going to score at least 10 points a week. But that's a whole unit. As one player, the quarterback, I think, is the most important player. So you need to be a leader in the locker room. Guys like Patrick Mahomes that are great leaders in the locker room get a lot of respect from their teammates. Zach Wilson has no respect from his teammates and probably anyone in the NFL fan base at this point because of how he acted last week. And so Mike White has taken his job, and Mike White looked like a freaking monster. He had an insane stat line against the Bears. They won 31-10. And his stats are insane. If you want to go ahead and give some praise, you're more than welcome to, Gian. I know you're itching for it.
Oh yeah, no. Mike White was an absolute beast against the Bears. Now, granted, the Bears don't have the best secondary in the world, but 315 passing yards, 3 tutties. That's exceptional. 22 out of 28 completed passes. And you know what? You could tell that all the players respected him and that he respected the players. He was able to make simple plays. He was able to use all the different tools. I believe Ty Johnson was in the mix on a night. And then in addition to that, like you got Garrett Wilson, and Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore has been dying to be used all season long. And now Elijah Moore got a tutty. He was used. Garrett Wilson was doing great. All around, this is a huge success, and you could see after the game, like all the players gathering around Mike White celebrating. They have respect for him because Mike White put himself out there. He genuinely helped the team, and you could see that. Excuse me, that they see Mike White as the leader of the team. They don't see Zach Wilson as that kind of guy. And for me, I feel like everyone still thinks Zach Wilson lacks like some sort of like maturity factor, that he's still a kid. So
he does. He got spoiled at BYU. He was a brat. He's a brat.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. And you can tell that Mike White it was very poised. Didn't make any irrational throws or anything rushed. Shout out to the Jets defense, by the way. They did play their hearts out, stop stop the Bears and all their run and whatnot. But Mike White, shout out to you, brother. You did great. You're really doing a lot to help out the Jets, and I'm excited to see what's in store for the Jets. Although they are division rivals.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to go back to the stats for a second because every single stat for him was above average. He had 315 pass yards, like you said, 3 tuds, like you said. He had a 78.6% completion percentage, which is pretty freaking good for a quarterback. That is very good. Usually, like mid-60s is like, yeah, that's a pretty average quarterback. The high 70s, because he gets harder and harder to go up once you get to that point. And then a 91.2 QBR, which was literally the highest QBRs of the weekend, was Mike White in that game. And like you said, Bears are not necessarily, excuse me, a great team that you should be super proud of yourself for beating, but he still did it. The team likes him, like you said, and it seems like those offensive weapons that the Jets have that have been underutilized forever are getting their chance to shine now, because you got a pretty underrated skills group, I'd say, with a couple stud receivers and a good running back core. Obviously, they lost Breece Hall, but you still have a pretty good running back core, and it seems like they're all getting used now that they have a quarterback that is kind of spreading the ball around a little bit more, and is actually moving the ball. There is more than 50 yards of offense whenever he plays the game versus when Zach Wilson plays the game. So there's like 400 more yards to go around for all the skills players on that team compared to when Zach Wilson was playing. So Mike White, I hope you keep the starting job, and I hope Zach Wilson doesn't even say it's a backup. I am full on that I hate Zach Wilson train now. I hope he doesn't play another NFL game. Actually, I shouldn't say that. You know, I don't want to be that negative, but he needs to be removed for a while and humble up a little bit, and then maybe come back, because he's still young. You know, even at that age, I feel like in the NFL you should have that level of maturity, but he doesn't, and I'll give him a little bit of a pass to hope that he matures up a little bit, because at the end of the day, I think that I don't wish negativity on any of these NFL players, especially ones that haven't really done anything wrong besides just be immature. So I hope he figures it out, but hopefully it's not with the Jets, because I think Mike White is your guy. I think that's a guy that you can keep for a while and then win games with. I mean, I think that's your best bet to make the playoffs at this point. Like I said, there's a couple teams that are one win behind you, and you got the Browns with Deshaun Watson now that could come up and sneak into the wild card picture. So I think that they need to keep Mike White in if they have a chance of keeping that playoff spot. Frank, you go ahead. I know you're trying to say something a minute ago, and I cut you off.
No, I mean, I was just going to comment on the fact that he was doing everything, Mike White was doing everything that a leader should do on the field, where if I think he led Garrett Wilson a little bit too much at one point and made him lay himself out, and then he got hit-sticked, and he immediately ran over to Garrett Wilson and was like, hey, like, my bad, like, I should not have led you like that. He was communicating with his receivers in a way that you've not seen Zach Wilson do at all, with a clarity, of leadership and qualities of leadership that Zach Wilson just has not, shown at all this season, or really last season, which you can't blame him for because he was a rookie. But, I just think that you stick with with Mike White for right now, like you were saying, Ethan, try and win, a few more games, because it seems like the team is really rallying around him. Hopefully Zach learns his lesson and gets back into a better shape, because this is not what you want. I think the league's better when the Jets are good. It's just more fun when you have good New York teams. And I would like to see them do well. I know Gion's a big fan of Miami.
Yeah, I think it's also just good whenever you have a lot of good teams in general. It's kind of annoying when there's like 5 good teams in each conference that are going to make the playoffs, and the other 1 or 2, it's just whoever's the least bad. I think this NFL season, especially in the AFC, there are way too many good teams, and I like that, because you got all the ones that are in the playoffs right now, and then, like I said earlier, you got the Patriots and Chargers, who are both really good teams and have positive records, but are not in the playoffs currently because of other teams that are just playing better. And so I think it just kind of makes everything better because it really makes you just step up another level because you don't just have to be good enough to make the playoffs. You actually have to be really good. So I think the AFC playoffs is going to be really fun to watch this year just because there are so many good teams that are going to be in there. Every team that's going to make the playoffs for the AFC is going to be a really good team.